Vertical Cloud Lab. This is the next in our series of human recreation of AI-made parts. So here we have the bracket. That's what we're going to be making today. This is the AI-made part. It's got a couple quirks to it. These pieces are really wide and long, and I'm not sure why. They even interfere back here with the mounting plate, so we're going to have to deal with that. Make this a little bit shorter. These mounts here can just go all the way out. Again, no reason why they wouldn't. And same thing here, where these are supposed to be flush against this corner back here, and so this really doesn't make a lot of sense. So we're gonna address all those today. Yeah, and then these mounting points for the servos, we're gonna have Will do that later. So I'm not doing that today. But I'm gonna go up to New Design, click New on a part design. I have this open file. So I'm gonna click on the ground plane there. So the first thing we're going to do here is click on the measure tool. Thankfully I have a step file of this so I can select different faces. So let's just see what the width of this is. 200 millimeters. Okay, awesome. I'm not sure why I did this, but yeah. Actually, I just looked at a picture, and this is about the distance that the servo needs in order to get all the way there. And actually, funny enough, these so the servo mounts go on this side of these mounts, but we're trying to move them onto this side. So I'm going to make everything about 190 here, and then we'll see how that goes. We'll continue that later if he needs to. That's the nice thing about this kind of design, is that all this can change. So that's really, really nice. So I think I'm just going to start off with a square, or sorry, a rectangle, 190 millimeters wide, and then let's see how deep. Zoom in. Yeah, 115.4. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about, where it's like, why is 115.4? That's totally arbitrary and weird. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do this right here. So we have 115, we'll call that, and then this is 190. Great. And then we will move this over so that the midpoint here is right here. Midpoint. There we go. So now it's attached to the midpoint there. So that's already constraints the midpoint, and said that the origin has to be the midpoint of this line. So now we don't have any blue lines. That's good. So it's all constrained. Go back here. Let's check out this middle rectangle here. From there to there. How deep is that? 55.4. I don't know what these 0.4s are, but sure, why not? If there's changes that we don't have to make, then we don't want to make them. So 55.4. Actually, I forgot to see how wide it is. 55.4. Nope. From there to there. 118. Awesome. So make this rectangle here. 55.4 and 118. Awesome. Now the reason that I didn't start this directly in this line is because now we can do the same thing. Click here and there, and then go up to the midpoint. Just would have been a little bit trickier if we'd been in the line. Awesome. So that's great. This is already looking more like the shape we need. So that's good. Then we can chamfer these edges right here. Chamfer equal distance chamfer. So I don't really know how dramatic the chamfer is. So go here. Just like this line here and this face, 24 millimeters, and then just to check this line this way, 24. Okay, perfect. So you're gonna have this chamfer here, equal distance chamfer, just like that. We say 24. Awesome. Then we'll do the same thing on this side. 24. Great. Okay. So So that is how we're going to start, except, so we want to do this in as little steps as possible, right? And so is there anything else that we can extrude in this same step? And I think we can extrude these holes here. These holes are also arbitrary, and they're in kind of a weird spot, but that's okay. So we're going to see just how big the holes are. They should be 2.7. Okay, so they're meant to interfere. They're like tap holes, but they're M3 screws. So, or I guess in diameter they're, okay, sorry, they're clearance M5 screws. That makes sense. So we're going to do here is I'm going to make a center rectangle somewhere up here. Go out and do this. Actually, wait, before I do that, I'm going to hit Command Z. We're going to make it a construction line. Sometimes it's easier to just redo something and make a construction. Nice. So let's just check how far apart these are. I think I can make it a little bit closer. I like this one, I think where it is, maybe a little bit closer. It's just arbitrary, and so it makes it a little difficult, but the distance between them at least is 37 millimeters. You can see here the 31.6 is the distance from edge to edge. 37 is from the centers. That's 37 millimeters across. And how far are they from each other? .160. Okay, so we'll call that good. So 160 is pretty wide. Okay, and then we go maybe 35 for the sake of ease. And move this down some. Right here. I'm actually going to take this down to 30. I think that's okay. Whoop. Not 335. 30. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good to me. These holes here would be close enough. And just to constrain this again, so I'm going to put this vertical. So these have to be vertical to each other. So now when I grab and move this, it has to be vertical. And then I'll put this dimension here. So it has to be at least 2.5, but let's make it let's make it 10. Just make it even. Okay. So yeah, okay, so that's our sketch. There we go. So I'm going to finish sketch. I'm going to come over here to the extrude tab. Click on that. Oh, I forgot to check. Because we're doing all of this, I think it's I think it's 5 millimeters tall, but I don't know. It is 6 millimeters tall, another arbitrary dimension. Okay, awesome. So we're going to extrude this here, 6 millimeters. There we go. That is the beginnings of our base plate, which is just perfect. So now, notice I didn't do anything with the holes, and I'll tell you why. So if we show the sketch, we actually use the hole tool, and it's going to make it easier to resize things later if we want to. Say clearance, and then I'm going to tap on all of these different corners here. We should have a hole, and you can see it's just a tiny little hole. That's because we're on M2. Yeah, that's not great. So we're going to go up to M5. There we go. For distance here, I'm going to say through all, because you just want these to be clearance holes. So there we go. Hit OK. Awesome. So that's where our holes are going to be. You can hide this sketch again. Okay, so the next things we need to add are these bottom flanges and these top mounts here. I think I'm going to do, let's do these top mounts first. Okay, so this is kind of a weird construction because they're just kind of floating in space. So in order to fix this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure these across 57.8. That's awesome. Let's do, if you see the origin, at 57.2 or 0.8, so 28. So this face here is 28.9 from the middle face, right, where the origin is, which which is great. So now we can say, come in here, we say, okay, offset plane from here, I'm at 28.9 millimeters. That's great. So now I have this offset plane here. So now I can sketch on this plane, which is awesome. Really helpful for us. So now I'm going to create a sketch, do it on this new plane. And so now when I work on this plane, you can see it's going to be right where we want it, right there, which is awesome. So you go back here. Okay, so let's see. Hide those again. Okay, so I think the first thing I want to know is the size of this hole, 5.4. So that is also a clearance hole of 5, an M5 clearance hole. So we'll probably add that afterwards. But I don't know how far away it is from this. This distance here is 10 millimeters. That's awesome. That's just perfect and easy. Yeah. So I'm going to make a hole here. Then I'm going to make a construction hole, or a circle as well. I'll put this in at 5.4, but that's just that'll change later. If we come back here and we see the size of this, 18 millimeters in diameter. So we'll make a dimension, say that's 18 millimeters in diameter. And then, yes, then this gets a little bit tricky. Let's see if it's going to let us make a dimension here like this. Awesome. Okay, so we need that to be 10. So now it's going to be 10 away from that point right there, which is just great. Now we need to know how far it is from this base plate. So another way to do this would be to just like take all the dimensions and write them down. That is totally valid. This is not a great way to do this. I mean, it's fine. It's working. It's a little bit lazy. 37.25. I'm going to take, do another dimension from this face here up to here, and that is 37.25. Does that work? There we go. Okay, nice. So now that hole is exactly where we need it to be. And then also we're going to mirror this afterwards, and so we don't have to worry about doing it on both sides or anything. Okay, so then on here, these come out really, really far ways. And so I think actually I'm just going to take this and shave this part off and just have it come directly down here. And then maybe I'll make it parallel too. Let's just see. So I'm going to start off with making a line. Come to the this bottom face here. Go from right here up to there. There we go. Okay. Oh, but I didn't want that to be a construction line, so I'm just going to come here. Click that. What is happening with this line? Okay, so I'm going to select that point there and this one and say vertical. So now it has to be vertical right there. Okay, nice. So one thing we could do is we could just take another line here, make a tangent to this, and then bring it down. But I want this to be a little bit stronger than that. So I'm going to come up here to the top. We'll have to do a similar thing, but just come out some distance, decide this distance in a second. I'm not sure why it keeps jumping back to construction lines. Let's try it again. Delete non-construction lines. Go to here. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm going to come out here. I'm going to say this point also has to be vertical with that point. Okay, nice. So now that's vertical there. So let's see how far out this goes. And I just want to go a little bit less than that. Inspect here and take that. How long is that? 29. So maybe let's see how 20 looks. 20 right there. Doesn't look too bad. And then for the sake of aesthetics, which AI does not understand, so I'm going to come down to this line here and then come all the way back. That's great, and then we're just going to make these two lines parallel, just because it makes me happy. Nice, okay. As you can see there, this is what it's looking like right now. Yeah, which is great. Yeah, so I think that's actually pretty good. So this is looking like this, so we just cut off a little bit here and cut off a little bit here. And so this is what we're left with. Now one thing we could do to make this a little bit stronger is you could add some fillets in different places. So like we could add a fillet here and curve this over. The fillet here doesn't totally matter, but we could still do it. I'm gonna add a fillet up here just because it looks nice. Make it 10 actually, just make that look a little bit nicer. And then we'll leave this one down here for now. Okay, so I'm going to hit finish sketch. And let's see how wide these are. It's 12.3. Awesome. Again, arbitrary. I don't know why I picked these, but that's what we got. So now I'm just going to select both of these. We don't want a new body, we want to join it. It's important. And then we want it 12.3. And that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna, yep, all good. So there we go. So it's looking a little bit better. We don't have this hole right here. And so I'm gonna come back to this sketch. After you extrude something, it hides the sketch from you. So we come back here. I'm gonna click on right there. And then it should be M5 clearance hole. I guess it's 5.5, but subtle difference. Yeah, and then I'm going to say through all. Okay, and there we go. There is our hole. Awesome. I'm actually going to change. I just realized, I think I know why that was different. Fit normal. We're going to change it to close. 5.3. Yeah, I like that better. So we're changing that because these have to be pretty precise hinges, and they have to keep the most important thing that they do is there's a gear that goes right here. So we need that to interface really cleanly with the servo gears that's right underneath it, and so that will help it stay a little bit sturdier. Okay, so now we're gonna mirror these. So I'm gonna come down here to mirror. Oh, we might actually have to do. Yeah. Okay. Cancel. Okay. So. I made a mistake. So when we come back here to extrude, and I said join, we're actually going to make a new body. So you can see over here in the bodies tab, so now we have two different bodies, and we can hide one of them or the other one. So eventually we are going to want to bring these together, but in order to mirror them, it's a lot easier to start one way. We're going to, so we selected that. We're gonna, for the mirror plane, we're going to select this center plane, and then it's going to make another one right there, which is perfect. Boom. And then now we can take all three of these and combine up here. And yeah, okay, target body is body 1. That's good, that's what we wanted. Hit OK. And now we have one body. They're all there. Only the sketch is left. And there we go. So it's looking a bit better. And then, yeah, so now the last thing we're going to do here is these bottom flanges. So once again, this is just a little bit, these ones are ridiculous. They don't make any sense. This one did fit on our mount pretty well, and so I just want to see what the distance is like here. 0.1 millimeters. Okay, so I think we can just call that 0. You know, this is one of those things from like, why did we choose to do this? That is just so unnecessary, but that's okay. Okay, so make this the same size. So the point of these flanges is to keep these panels here from moving, because if they push down, then these gears that are going to be here will come apart. So I'm going to go to this face over here. Let me see. So we want, this is actually, so according to the original design and not AI's design, we wanted a flange coming down here, and then a flange here as well. So not a square, but this one would just be a flange like this cutting across. I think I'm going to try to put those flanges, this flange on this side, because that's where most of the pressure is going to be, for it to bend this piece, and then the other flange can come out this way. And that flange will have a hole in it for mounting it if needed. Okay, so I'm actually going to come over right here. This is going to be pretty similar to these. We're going to mirror them afterwards, but I'm going to start with this. So I'll make it to create a new sketch right there. Awesome. So I'm just going to come down like this, and then bring this up, and then back over. This one should be a bit more simple. And then we can move this over so that it should connect right there, right in that little corner. That's perfect. And then I'm not sure how tall to make these, so let's go over here and measure once again, top to bottom, 40 millimeters. Awesome. So we're going to make a dimension here, 40 millimeters. We got pretty close. Okay, so that is great. Now the only other thing is that if we're going to make this, say, 5 millimeters across, we'll have another flange coming down right here. And so, yeah, so I think instead I'm going to take this. I know it's painful. I'm going to delete that. And then I'll make another line right here as 5. And then we'll take that up. So we can have, so you can connect it more of a solid point down there and not, will be really pointy. Okay, so I'm going to say finish sketch. And I'm going to click on here and extrude 5. Gotta make sure that's the right direction. That is the wrong direction. So say -5. Awesome. And then because we want to mirror it, I'm just going to say new body again. So now we have another body. And then, yeah, so now from here, I'm actually going to go onto this face and make a sketch right here. Now, because this already has this bottom piece, this bottom little area, I can just come here and center this, and then just drag this line. Click right here, click this corner right here, just make a little triangle. Easy enough. And then let's also do, just make a hole in the center here. Make it 5.4. However, this is just a reference for when we do the holes later. And so put it right there. And then this is, honestly, this is entirely unnecessary, but just to make sure that it doesn't really matter where this hole is. Just to make sure, I'm going to add 2 lines there and then make these ones equal. There we go. So now wherever this moves, oh, okay, so that just highlighted a little problem we have. So this needs to be coincident right there. Okay, so I'm going to select this line and make a constraint coincident. Nice, okay. So now, wherever this moves, what? Oh, clearly that didn't work. Okay, we can brute force this if we need to by making another measurement. Let's see. Yeah, okay, let's try that. So I'm going to go back to inspect here on this model now. That is, oh, I had the point selected still, so I want from this face to this face. That is 31 millimeters, okay. Close, so now I'm going to say, put a dimension on this and say, okay, this is 31 millimeters. So now that can't move at all. Okay, so now this, wherever we put it, will be along this, be somewhere in the middle. And then I'm going to take a line here and go from this corner. Let's make this line up again. This corner to the midpoint here. And then I just realized this is not an equilateral triangle, so I'm going to delete this. What I want is to move this here There we go. Okay. So now, sorry, that was too much work for that, but now it should be pretty centered in there. And we can move that around later. That's why this is an isometric sketch, so we can move it around later if we need to. It might be helpful to have it a little bit more down here. We'll just see. So I'm going to finish that, and I'll make a hole right here. And, oh, I just realized can't do the hole yet because we haven't extruded it yet. Extrude 5, and again that's the wrong direction, so -5. Awesome. Call that good? Beautiful. This is what I asked AI to do earlier, and it didn't do it. You come back here, make that sketch. Now that I'm looking at it, I think it is a little bit too high. I think it's not going to be as helpful for us. I do like where it is though, because of the placement. If you can see that, the placement of this hole versus these ones means that they probably won't interfere when they go in. So I'm just going to go into the sketch and edit that. Go into the sketch, edit, and then I'll just willy-nilly it. So like I said, this is arbitrary, it doesn't matter. I made it too complicated. I'm going to put it somewhere down here. We'll call that good. Nice, and then we'll make a hole. Say through all, and it is M5, and that's just perfect. Just to check, if I want to do a counter bore or countersink for an M5 screw, so this shows me how big a screw head would be in that same spot, and I just want to make sure that it can actually fit here. So if we go to this front view, yeah, that'd be fine. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I'm just going to click off of just simple. We still want M5. I don't know why it jumps to M2 every time. And we'll call that good. There we go. So that is beautiful. What point did we combine those? Okay, so I think it was right here. So we come back here, look at this. Yeah, I had join here. I actually want it to be a new body. So now we should have these two new bodies. So now I'm going to combine all of them. Combine. Target body is 5. Now we want target body to be 1. Doesn't totally matter, but select target body here. Means that we're adding these two to the target body. Join. Oh wait, actually we need to, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm going to combine these. Doesn't matter which one on that one. So now this is one body. And then now we can mirror those. Mirror that. Select that object. We're going to mirror it across this plane. And now we have it on this side. That looks great. Awesome. And then, yeah, and so now we have all these different bodies, but we need to combine them all. So now you can click combine like that, and then tool bodies, these two, and combine them. And now you have one part. Again, there's that little sketch. You have one part. Yeah. So that is all we're going to do today for this. And then Will is going to add the, these other little flanges for the servos. But that is as far as we've gotten today. So there we go. Here's this part. Should be pretty clean and flush. And yeah, if it ends up not being strong enough, we can add things like fillets here or something. Maybe even here if that's needed. But it's looking pretty good right now. So yeah, make sure to save it. Don't forget to save everything. This is the base plate part. We're saving it to the powder doser project. It's perfect. I just want to highlight really quick. Here is the original part, right? You can see it looks a lot more complicated. Things are just kind of wonky and strange and lots of little things sticking out in random places. And this one feels much more streamlined, much clearer, and much simpler. So yeah, there we go. That's the base plate part 1.